instruction and hear her say it right. Please take away this thorn.
Good evening. Welcome to Talkin Montauk. Today is Monday, October 7th, 1996. My name is Bob Ficalora. I'm the acting president of the Montauk Friends of Olmsted Parks Corporation, Montauk's newly re-established trustee corporation for Montauk, and I'll be your host tonight. There have been some significant issues which have come up in governance in East Hampton in the past week or so, specifically regarding the legislation or law or other act which is being proposed by the town of East Hampton for the transfer of control of our harbors, foreshores, and bottomlands to the trustees of the town of East Hampton. Tonight I'll be talking about the rights of the Montauk Trustee Corporation and what I've been doing to protect the Montauk community's rights through reforming that corporation. So what I will be going to do with you tonight is to go over a summary political history of Montauk, to give you the history of the political control of Montauk and the governance which we've enjoyed here. The history of Montauk and our rights of governance over the land here goes back to the original settlers who established their colonies among the Indians, and can only be told through an understanding of the history of the establishing of the township of East Hampton. Is that music on the air? You know? Okay, I don't know. The Gardiner's Island had been purchased in 1639. Southold and Southampton were settled in 1640. The land comprising East Hampton was purchased from the Indians up to the Montauk line at Napeague in 1648 by Theophilus Eaton, the governor of the colony of New Haven, and Edward Hopkins, governor of the colony of Connecticut in 1648. They did this for the benefit of the settlers. These governors assigned the lands by deed dated April 16, 1651. In September of 1654, the proprietors of East Hampton passed a resolve to review the Connecticut combination of the colony of Connecticut for their own adoption. The document produced through this review stated that, quote, "To maintain peace and union of such a people, there ought to be an orderly and decent government established according to God, to order and dispose as occasion shall require. We do therefore associate and conjoin ourselves to be one town or corporation, in our civil affairs to be guided and governed by such laws and orders as are made according to God, and which by vote of the major part shall be in force among us. Therefore we do engage ourselves that in all votes choosing officers and making orders, that it be according to conscience and our best light. We also do engage ourselves by this combination to stand to and maintain the authority of the several officers of the town in their determination and actions according to their orders that either are or shall be made." And so it was that on October 24th, 1654, the original democratic constitution founding the town of East Hampton was established. Okay, so 1654, the original town of East Hampton was established after the deed had been purchased, after the land had been purchased from the Indians by the colony of Connecticut, transferred to the settlers, and then a constitution establishing a democratic form of government by the majority part, votes by the majority part of the property owners would make the laws. East Hampton remained an independent settlement or plantation from 1648 until 1657, when it united with the colony of Connecticut for the purpose of counsel and defense. Southampton joined the same confederacy. The Connecticut colony, unlike that at New Haven, admitted all their citizens to equal rights and privileges. Montauk and East Hampton were a part of Connecticut. When the Dutch in 1664 surrendered their colony of New Netherlands to the English, the whole of Long Island was claimed by the Duke of York as included in his grant and under his jurisdiction. And I'm sorry to be reading this. You know, I'd prefer not to read, but this is all very tight history. So I want to stay by the book on this because I know that the town trustees and the town government are all watching this, and everybody's recording it. And this history all comes from the writing of the town historian Henry P. Hedges. So it's all accurate to the best of my knowledge. Okay, the powers of the Duke of York were exercised by his deputized government governors, with absolute and arbitrary power. The colonial governors often excluded the people altogether from choosing representatives of their own to pass laws in a General Assembly. Sometimes, after yielding to popular demand, the governors disobeyed the assembly which they had chosen of their own arbitrary will. For these reasons, the proprietors appealed in 1664 to continue under the government and jurisdiction of the colony of Connecticut, and in the same year made known their determination not to pay taxes to the colony of New York. All right, so the people here, the proprietors, the freeholders, the men that had established their township, their government, did not want to be a part of the colony of New York. Okay. However, after some negotiation and some meetings, the lands of East Hampton, however, were patented as part of the colony of New York in 1666 under Colonel Richard Nichols as governor. Okay, so East Hampton became a part of the state of New York in 1666 by patent issued by Colonel Richard Nichols as governor. However, the town chafed under the interference with their assemblies and arbitrary law until in June 1682, at a general training of the militia, a petition was prepared and delivered to the governor, Anthony Brockholst. This petition, delivered by the inhabitants of the town of East Hampton, describes how the town of East Hampton was established under the laws of the colony of New York through the patent of Richard Nichols in 1666 with the understanding of the guarantees of liberty, and goes on to state, okay, and this is very important, this is very historic, so I'm going to compare this to the Declaration of Independence after I read this paragraph, so please pay close attention. This was a petition which was delivered by the proprietors of the East End in an assembly at the raising of the militia to the governor of the colony of New York. And so after referencing the Nichols patent and the negotiations that had taken place then, they said in this petition, "But may it please your honor to understand that since that time, the Richard Nichols patent, we are deprived and prohibited our birthright freedoms and privileges to which both we and our ancestors were born, although we have neither forfeited them by any misdemeanor of ours, nor have we been forbidden the due use or exercise of them by command of our gracious king," okay, "that we know of. And as yet neither we nor the rest of his majesty's subjects upon this island have been at any time since then to enjoy a general and free assembly of our representatives." These same assertions and complaints were contained in the Declaration of Independence almost 90 years later. It is believed by historian Henry P. Hedges that no people in this country, on this land, saw farther, or earlier the correct principles of a free representative government than our predecessors here. None placed these principles on paper before them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read some sections of the Declaration of Independence which I think people need to understand in the context of our rights, because our rights are historic, our rights are established a couple centuries ago, and our rights are still enforceable and are still protected under the state constitution of the state of New York. Okay, here we have a document which most people have seen in their history books and probably have a little bit of knowledge maybe of the preamble. But what it is it's a Declaration of Independence of the colonies of the United States, the 13 colonies of America, from the king. Okay, they were declaring independence from the king. And in the body of this text, it declares those fundamental liberties. And you remember that the 1682 document said that the proprietors felt they had been deprived of our birthright freedoms and privileges to which both we and our ancestors were born. Well, if you read the Declaration of Independence, it says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, depriving their just powers from the consent of the governed." That's the same statement, and it's the same statement, just a little different language. But birthright, freedoms and privileges, inalienable rights, okay, that all men are created equal, born equal. And then further down in the document, when we get to the part about the protest of not being able to enjoy general and free assembly of representatives,